Do you wish that you had a tool that would allow you to fix your customers' vehicle properly and get paid for it? Well, hey, I might have the answer for you. On today's episode of the Body Banging Podcast, I have Billy Walkowiak on, and he's going to talk about the appraisal clause, which could help not only your customer, the consumer, get their vehicle repaired properly, but help you, the shop, get paid. Oh my gosh, it would be incredible. Bring it on, Billy. Let's hear what he has to say.
Welcome to Body Bangin', your podcast for all things body. Auto body, that is. And now, introducing Body Bangin's host, Mickey Woods of Mickey Woods Marketing. Mickey is a former auto collision center owner and is now a marketing and business development expert to shops across the globe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Body Bangin' Podcast. I appreciate you all for listening, and our listenership keeps growing and growing. It's so awesome. I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping. And if you're liking this podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, give a thumbs up if you like it, and write a comment below. If you're on Apple Podcasts, if you hit the plus sign up in the top of your phone, that means you'll subscribe to it. So you'll get notified every time a new one comes out. And you can actually scroll all the way down to the bottom of the screen and write a review. So who doesn't like giving 5-star reviews? Well, I like getting them. So hopefully you like giving them. But anyway, today we have somebody awesome on the show. And I'm excited to introduce to you Billy Walkowiak to the show. Hi, Billy.
Hey, Mickey.
It's nice to finally get you on here.
We've been trying for a while. I have a busy schedule. Matter of fact, I'm actually in New Jersey right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Billy travels all over the place. So Billy has actually been in the collision industry for over 13 years. And he does something where I feel like, Billy, you're like the Superman of the industry. You're like a superhero going out and fighting for what's right.
Yeah,
do you
I have
hear
a bunch
that?
of people say, a bunch of people say they're going to get a cape, a green cape for me.
Yeah, exactly.
My company colors.
Yeah, see? It's not just me. So Billy does a lot of different things in his company. And Billy, you do everything from appraisal clause, total loss, diminished value. Are you doing post-repair inspections as well? Is that part of all of it?
We do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So go ahead and talk on that for a minute.
Yeah. So when I first started the company, it was more about post-collision repair inspections, hence the name Collision Safety. My father-in-law was one of the first people with that. There was a company called RecCheck that was founded by Jim Linus. And my father-in-law was one of the first software owners. And when I met my wife now, who was my girlfriend then, it was right during the turn down of the economy. And I had lost my business. I was in the yacht business, and it was in 2009. No one was buying yachts. No one was selling yachts. No one was looking at yachts.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into collision safety, because Ronnie was doing that at Pack Brothers. And he said he was helping people with diminished value claims, and he was doing it for free. He would do it for customers. It was a way for him to help the customers, and it created customer loyalty and customer retention.
Yeah.
Because if you went to my father-in-law's shop and got your car fixed, you got it fixed and you walked away with a check for diminished value. And people would go, hey, I got my car fixed, and the guy helped me get the loss of value in my car. That word of mouth spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
Because any shop that was, doing direct repair or had a contract with an insurance company, they couldn't tell people that because they'd lose their contracts.
Right.
So he was doing that, and then he was helping them with total loss claims. They'd get an offer on their total loss value, and he would pull up NADA or Kelly Blue Book or whatever and help them with that. And he told me, he said, Billy, I think you could make a living out of this.
Yeah.
So when I first started, it was all about finding the other shop doing bad repairs, and that was kind of our goal. Since then, my company has really moved more to total customer and consumer protection with the appraisal clause, and total losses and diminished value and repair inspections. All of those are kind of a cog in a wheel to make sure that consumers are getting what they're entitled to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's why we look at you as the hero that should wear the cape, because most people are not out there advocating for the consumer, even though they're really the ones suffering in all of this oftentimes. So for everybody that doesn't know, Billy has a Collision Safety Consultants is the name of Billy's company. And Billy, do you work with people and with shops across the country, like all states, or is there certain states you're not working with?
Yeah, so we have multiple locations in the United States. I actually have one in Australia, and have just started doing some stuff in Canada, in Windsor, Ontario. Interestingly enough, when a guy contacted me from Windsor with a body shop, Frank Cabato, at Formula One Collision, he sent me the Insurance Act of Ontario. It is identical to the appraisal clause language in a North Carolina auto policy.
Really?
So it actually says that if the two parties disagree on the loss or the amount of the loss, that means anything related to a claim. So there's two different appraisal clauses in an auto policy if it's in there. Mm-hmm. One says we can only discuss the ACV, or total loss amount, once it's totaled.
Okay.
The other is worded and it says if we disagree on the loss or amount of the loss. Now that means repair cost, admin fees, storage fees, parts, rental, anything related to the claim is the loss. And I get in this argument all the time with insurance companies. Once a customer invokes that, what's called the appraisal clause in an auto policy, they hire me, I'm their representative. Then the insurance company must hire an independent appraiser, and the two of us settle the claim. So it levels the playing field for a consumer, whether it's repair cost or the value of the vehicle or storage fees, and they're trying to deduct storage fees from their settlement, or they're not wanting to pay admin fee, or they're not wanting to pay for proper repairs. What I do is I document those. A lot of the body shops that I work with are either Tesla certified or BMW or Mercedes, and they send me the documents that say this is what's required to do it. Right. And of course, an insurance company all day long can just say, well, we don't pay for that, or no one asked for that, or we don't do that.
Right.
Well, once I go up against an independent appraiser, I said, okay, well, show me where this is wrong.
Yeah.
And then you just get the deer in the headlights. Well, we've gone so far as on like some procedures from Subaru that we went to define what a collision is, because in the safety inspection on the Subaru says any vehicle involved in the collision has to go through these safety steps. Okay. One of them is removing the steering column to measure it. Well, it says collision. And all these insurance companies says, well, it was tapped, it was bumped, it was this, it was that. We made Subaru define a collision as any moment or movement in a vehicle from another vehicle.
Wow.
So it could be a tap. It could be anything that the insurance companies said wasn't a collision. It's coming into contact with another vehicle was what we did. And so it's like a $4,300 or $4,500 inspection. And insurance companies were denying it, say it didn't need it. Well, here's the documentation from Subaru and a letter from Subaru that says you got to do it. Yeah. We did that on 2 claims. They don't question us anymore.
I bet. They don't want to fight it. Well, and for people that are listening, one thing, I had another guest talk about appraisal clauses quite some time ago. And so for people that are listening, I know education on all of this, some people have a ton and some people have none. So it's like we have such a broad spectrum in our industry of how much they understand. And one thing that I didn't realize was the appraisal clause cannot be invoked by the shop, the actual consumer. So the customer has to invoke it, correct?
Correct. So it's the policyholder. And I get that a lot of times. Some guy says, I want to invoke the appraisal clause. And it has to be your own insurance company. I'll have body shops that'll send me customers that are claimants and go, well, it works the same with the claimant. No, because the policy language. So here's what people need to understand. A insurance policy is a contract. It's under contract law. Right. And the insurance companies are obligated to follow that contract line for line.
Right.
And any deviation from that is called bad faith or unfair, deceptive trade practice. Any ambiguity in that language goes to the policyholder. So just take, for instance, if diminished value is not excluded from a policy under a property damage claim, they owe it. They might say, we don't owe diminished value, but if it says we have to make you whole from a loss and diminished value is not excluded, it has to be excluded because the loss is diminished value part of the loss. Absolutely. But most policies have that verbiage in there on a first party claim when the accident's your fault, you can't get diminished value. Georgia is the only state that you can get diminished value first and third party under your auto policy. But let's go back to the appraisal clause. So you can only invoke the appraisal clause in your own policy. But if you're hit by another driver, I tell my customers, file with your own insurance company anyway.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my agent told me my rates are going to go up. Well, guess what? Your agent gets a commission. And the reason your agent's trying to tell you not to file with him, because he gets dinged for every claim that goes against that policy because his commission rates go down. Yes. And they'll go, and they'll use terms just like an insurance company will. Your rates might go up. You hear it? Might.
Yeah, right. Right.
You might not get your deduct. If you use your policy, you might not get your deductible back. My number one weapon against insurance companies is when they make a statement like that, or we don't pay for that, or we don't follow OEM guidelines. If they make a statement like that to me, or to a customer, because I generally don't talk to insurance companies.
Right.
Once I'm hired, I only deal with an independent appraiser. But I tell my customers, put it in writing. So as soon as they say, if you use your policy, your rates are going to go up, say, did you say they might or they're going to?
Yeah.
Well, they could. You were leading me to believe that if I used my own coverage, my rates would go up and I wouldn't get my deductible back. But what you're saying is it's possible, right?
Right.
And it's possible I might get struck by lightning this afternoon too, right?
Right.
I have never had a customer not get their deductible back. Now I can't, they raise rates at a drop of a hat.
Right.
So you're not going to stop them from dropping your rates. Should they? No. Can they? Well, they can raise their rates for whatever reason they want to.
Right.
But using your policy when someone else is liable should not go against you because your company is going to subrogate, which means get their money back from the other company. Your company's not out any money. So where's the loss?
Right. Well, and I know personally, because I just went through an auto accident with my own insurance, they take what I have to say to heart. And when I kick back as the insured, they listen. They're more likely to listen to me, and I can kick back. And I know I want this vehicle repaired to OE specifications. I want a Jaguar certified shop, They listen to me. The other girl that hit me, she's got USAA, and they couldn't give two craps what I want.
No.
Really?
And because here's what we talked a little about this earlier. Here's what drives me insane about most body shops. Not knowing the difference between the power of a first party and a third party claim.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We'll use you for an example.
Okay.
Mickey's hitting her Jag by USAA.
Right.
USAA doesn't owe Mickey a dime. And people will go, what do you mean? Yeah. Susie, insured by USAA, hit Mickey. So USA owes Mickey. No. USA owes Susie. Susie owes Mickey. Susie's the insured. There's no contractual obligation for USA to pay you a dime. And most of the time, what they'll do is, so they don't have to get involved, is they'll make it difficult for you and push you to your own insurance company so they don't have to deal with you. Right. And then through subrogation, I call it collusion, but that's just my opinion. But once they get together, they wash each other's back and massage each other and go, okay, well, let's do this and let's do this. And then they settle it. But you should always get your deductible back. And your as we said, your rates could go up, but they shouldn't, because your company gets the money back. Right. But you have control under a claim only under your own policy. Right.
That makes sense. So one thing to point out too, backtracking a smidge bit to make sure everybody's tracking for those that this is totally new to them. So if you are getting to or let's say your customer, because shop owners and managers are typically listening. So your customer got into an accident, they are the ones that will invoke the appraisal clause. They are the ones that will work directly with Billy or an independent appraiser.
Yeah, whomever.
Yeah. And the insurance company, then it now gets taken out of the insurance company's hands because now they have to hire an independent appraiser separate from them, right? Not in bed with them, does it have to be totally separate?
Yes. What most policies say, some say competent and disinterested. Some say competent. Some just say competent. And the competent and disinterested, I see that a little bit, but most is competent. But the whole reason, and way back in the day when I first started this company, especially in North Carolina, because that's where I founded my company, USA, when they invoked the appraisal clause, USA would use their own appraisers.
Wow, that's what I was wondering.
Very bold. They would say that the policy says competent appraiser. Our appraiser's competent.
Wow.
So there's a couple things that we did to tweak them. I would say each must bear the burden of their independent appraiser. So I would say, send me a copy of the check that you were sent, that you were paid to handle this claim separately from your standard job.
Right.
What?
Huh?
Yeah. You can't put an undue burden on your insured and make them pay for an appraiser, and you're not paying separately for appraiser if he's already on the payroll. That was one.
Right.
Two, what we started doing is like, okay, you want to play that game? My father-in-law, Ronnie Pack Brothers, is the appraiser for this lady under the appraisal clause. What? Well, if you're going to use your appraiser, the body shop's going to use the body shop owner.
Right.
Yeah. So that shut them down real quick.
Yeah.
And I think there was a couple attorneys that we worked for that says the reason for the appraisal clause is to level the playing field. Right. And that defeats the whole purpose if you're going to use your own appraiser in the appraisal clause. So they stopped doing that in North Carolina about 5 years ago.
It's a total conflict of interest. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we even invoking this thing then?
Well, I'm doing that in Canada right now because I'm having to educate a country. Imagine that. So it's taken me 13 years to do what I've already done in North America, which people know about it.
Right.
No one's ever invoked the appraisal clause in Canada because they didn't know what it was.
Holy cow.
And they are fighting me. I've got one claim that's been going on for 6 months. I probably got 35 to 40 emails back and forth with the customer because the customer has to talk to the insurance company. So I have to tell the customer what to say, and the insurance company says it to them, and then the customer sends it back to me, and I'll tell them what to say.
Right.
Because they'll say they have to get a copy of my report. Okay, if you're playing pokers and you're playing Texas Hold'em, you turn your cards over.
Right.
No, you're not getting my report, and there's nothing in the policy says they do. Liberty Mutual right now is the number one offender of that. I will tell you, they must have had a class about 6-8 months ago that says, get the report from the other appraiser before you hire an appraiser. And I said, okay, well, that's not in the policy. It's our procedure. Then I have to break it out again. Do you know the difference between a procedure and contract law?
Right.
Anything outside of that contract is unfair and deceptive trade practice. And I have to send that to the customer to send, and it finally gets kicked up the chain. And they go, whoa, what are you doing? You can't make the customer send you Billy's report. There's nothing that says that the appraiser has to send the report to the insurance company.
Right.
But some manager up said, hey, if we get a copy of what he's got, then we'll hire the guy. We know what he's got before we do everything, and we'll tell our guy what to say. And that's exactly what they were trying to do.
Of course.
We're not stupid. So that's happening a lot, and it takes years of self-educating. I mean, I'm self-taught.
Oh, yeah.
No one, I followed my father-in-law, and I bless him every day for the opportunity to do what I do and for teaching me this. But all the laws and statute and all that, it took me getting kicked in the face and getting thrown down the street and losing, every once in a while, to where I had to educate myself to what I could do and what I couldn't do.
Absolutely. Well, and as you know, every state is different. And so that must be really tricky for you too, trying to figure out, okay, what state am I in today? What are the laws here? What is the policy with this? Because there's so many variables. I would imagine on your end, that can get pretty tricky.
Yeah. And I have to know the policy language. So the great thing about North Carolina is we're a uniform policy state. So every policy is identical. It's an ISO standard policy. Every other state, I think there's a couple states out there that have uniform policies. But what I do is I collect policies. Anytime I do a claim in another state, and once I get that appraisal clause language, I put it in my iPhone and I put appraisal clause language, Iowa Progressive, or appraisal clause Vermont USAA, or whatever that appraisal clause in that state, and I've got them in my phone.
Yeah.
Then also there's a law firm that publishes a list of every total loss law in the United States and every diminished value case law in the United States and every statute of limitations in the United States.
Wow.
So I keep those three sources on my phone.
Yeah.
Anybody's in it. So I know what the statute of limitations is on diminished value or any property damage by looking on that. I know what the case law is on diminished value, and I know what the appraisal clause, what the total loss law is in that state. And it's one of my little pet peeves is when I do some of my seminars, I go out and do stuff for BASF and micro and actually go into body shops and teach on how I do a post-collision repair inspection and do quality control. And it amazes me sometimes at some of the events that BASF or ALLDATA or some of these guys will get me to do. And I'll ask the audience, 30 body shop owners. I'm like, how many know what the total loss law is in your state? And the last one I did, I think I did it for BASF and micro, and we were in St. Louis. And there was Kentucky, Illinois, and Indiana there. Out of 35 guys, 2 guys raised their hands. And one of the guys said he knew was wrong. Because Illinois has no total loss law. Missouri.
Okay.
And Kentucky is 75%, and Indiana, I think, is 75%. But I did one in Ohio. There was 45 guys in the room, and no one raised their hand.
Wow.
How are you working? I know Michelin, ADP, Autotext, and CCC1 give you a threshold. But how do you not know if there's a law when you're working on a car to see if the vehicle's totaled?
Yeah, that's really interesting. They must just be using those tools to decide then if it's not the law. So what changes then if they know the law? Well, would it change? You think they'd be repairing more vehicles?
I think that they would be more educated to help the customer, because if the customer wants it totaled under a claimant when they get to that threshold, or they wouldn't call me to fight when there is no law, because Texas is 100%. Florida, there is no law. So you can't. So shops and consumers shops will tell consumers to hire me when they want a vehicle totaled. If it's close.
Okay.
And let's say it's Texas. And they'll go, hey, we're at 75%. So
wow.
Well, you can get it totaled. That's what it is, right? No, it's 100. 100 what? 100%. So there's nothing I can do in Texas to get a vehicle totaled unless the repairs cost equal 100%.
Right.
Now, here's something that body shops and consumers need to know as well. Under a first-party claim, an insurance company can total at will. Because people say, hey, Billy, I want you to raise the value of this vehicle, get them more money so I can fix it. Well, once it's declared a total loss by an insurance company, the insurance policy says repair, replace, or purchase. And it says the insurance company gets to decide. Now, they repair them all the time. They purchase them all the time. In 13 years in business, and I'm talking millions and millions of claims, I've never once had an insurance company say, hey, I'm going to go buy you a new car.
Oh, yeah.
That's replace.
Right.
I don't even know why it's in there.
Right.
Because the liability of them going out and buying a car and giving it to you and replacing your vehicle. Yeah. It ain't gonna happen.
No.
But I guess it's been in there and they've just never removed it. But that is left to the discretion of the insurance company. So I cannot untotal a car. No one can untotal a car. And if it's a $5 scratch and Allstate just says we're gonna total it, it's totaled.
Wow.
I just had a lady last night. She goes, it was a scratch from a tree limb. And I love my car. And I was like, okay, do you own it? She said, yeah. I said, well, let them total it.
Yeah.
You can live with a scratch. You can live with a scratch on your car.
Right.
Oh, no, I've got to have it fixed. Okay. Well, then she tells me that was a $9,000 repair estimate. I said, well, ma'am, there's no way it was just a scratch. And the insurance company and the insurance company wrote 9,000. So we know a body shop would probably write 10 or 12,000.
Right.
Right off the bat.
Right.
I just had a guy today call me, and I think he said that and he's an attorney, and he said USA wrote 1,700 on his Toyota, his wife's Toyota. It was a $12,000 repair.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Because do they miss them that bad? Well, and not in their defense, but the reason repair estimates, and most people don't know this, are written so low that for every dollar they write a repair estimate, the insurance company has to deposit triple that amount in a trust at the Department of Insurance.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that money's to be held in case there's a catastrophic event like Ian. So let's say Mickey's in an accident in Florida the week before Ian, and you get hit, and they write a $3,000 estimate. They got to put $9,000 in a trust to make sure they can cover the repair cost if they go up. Okay.
Wow.
But if they wrote a $20,000 estimate, now they got to put $60,000 in there, because if they were to go bankrupt during Ian, your pre-existing loss you couldn't get compensated for.
Right.
And that's what it's designed for. So the reason they purposely underwrite estimates is so the insurance company doesn't have to put, because supplements don't count.
Oh, that was my next question. Wow. This is like a light bulb moment right here.
That's why why they purposely underwrite those estimates, because they're trained to write a low estimate. And again, you know what they want them to do? They want you to cash out.
Yeah. Right.
So literally, if they'd written this guy a $1,200 check and he looked at the bumper of his car and said, "Oh yeah, it's just $1,200," and go on, and it was $12,000.
Right. Crazy. Wow. What a miss. I'm going to interrupt this podcast for just one quick second, because a lot of people wonder, Mickey, what is it that you even do besides host a podcast? Well, I do marketing, and really the biggest thing that I do is help you drive more traffic to your business. And not even just more traffic, but consistent traffic to your business. As a former shop owner, I know how important that is. So if that's something you're interested in, or you just want to talk about marketing or developing your business in general, feel free to reach out. You can visit collisioncentermarketing.com. There's a calendar on there, and you can just book a time that works for you, and we'll set up a phone call. Or you can email or call me, and my notes are down in the description of this episode. But I hope to hear from you. I'd love to help you build your business. But in the meantime, you better get back to this podcast, because it's really good. So I have a lot of shops that I do work with, or that I talk with, that use the appraisal clause. So let me know what you think about this. They're using the appraisal clause because the insurance companies are saying, we refuse to repair it per OE specifications. We're repairing it for what we think it should be repaired for. So the body shop is advising their customer to evoke the appraisal clause so that then they can get paid the amount that they need to get paid to fix it properly. Do you see that happening? Is that the main reason most people or most shops are wanting the appraisal clause invoked?
Yes. And a lot of companies that I'm working for, either mom and pop shops or chains, Hendrick Automotive, who was probably one of my little adversaries back in the day, because we may or may have not been involved in a suit. Now they see the benefit in helping the consumer, because I've settled several claims at Hendrick Luxury, whether it's a BMW certified or Porsche certified vehicle, that Allstate will say, we're not paying for that. And immediately Hendrick says, well, you need to call Billy, because if not, you're coming out of pocket $8,000.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're empowering the customer to get the repairs that they want, and the customer invokes the appraisal clause. And I'll go one step further. At Relentless Collision in Raleigh and Cary, Todd McGowan, who is just doing great things. They're Tesla certified. Every single customer that comes through that front door, they say, if we can't work with your insurance company, you go ahead and sign the right to appraisal.
Wow.
So we can send it in, and because we're not gonna fight them, and because we know who the offenders are,
right? Right.
And you, especially if you're a shop that knows the adjuster you don't get along with, he's gonna automatically deny it. And in my opinion, and I've been doing this for 13 years, Allstate is the biggest offender out there. They're
really?
the guy. They're the ones that I probably go up against the worst.
Okay.
Them, and then again, Liberty Mutual is the one that doesn't want to follow the appraisal clause language. They don't. They just want to try and keep pushing and keep pushing. Give me your report. Give me this. We're not going to do this. And then, 3Ds: defend, deny, delay. But
Right.
relentless has gotten the relentless collision's gotten so good that I'm probably doing 4 or 5 cars a week for them.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's going to get to a point where I did it with Chris Acrudi down in South Carolina. It's a little shop, 1-man, the 2-man operation back in the day. And it's called Dents and Dings. And Geico was giving him a hard time. And so I said, hey, I said, here's what we do. I said, get you 4 Geico claims in there and get all 4 customers lined up and invoke the appraisal clause have them invoke the appraisal clause, all 4 customers on the same day.
Oh, God.
Well, then Geico had to go out and hire 4 different independent appraisers to deal with me.
Right.
And so we did that, and that took about a month, and they had to hire, 4 independent appraisers. And I did my job, and I beat up on them, and I got pretty much close to what we wanted. And then the next time we invoked the appraisal clause, they called the vehicle owner and said, listen, send us the shop estimate again. And he's, well, I've already paid Billy. Okay, well, we're going to pay Billy's fee, and we're just not going to do this again.
Wow.
And now they give a concession because they were tired of fighting. Same thing with Pack Brothers. They did that with Progressive. And after winning 21 appraisal clause, Progressive came in there and go, okay, white flag, we give. Quit invoking the appraisal clause.
Right.
We'll make it work.
Right. Well, and I wonder if it seems like that's where we're at right now, just with the environment the way that it is. And it's just this battle, just constant battle. And like shops saying one thing, insurance companies saying another, and they're unwilling to budge. And it seems like this is a tool for shops to be able to use. And I have talked with shops where they say, we used to do appraisal clause constantly. And now we don't do them as much because now they're sick of fighting because they know what's going to happen, how this is going to turn out. And we didn't kind of wrap up the initial part of it, talking about the appraisal clause, how the consumer gets their appraiser. Independent appraiser. The insurance company gets their own. And then whatever those 2 people decide, that's it. That's what
it is binding.
Done. Yeah.
And then if you go to an umpire and see some policies, the umpire, all policy says the 2 appraisers agree to an umpire. Some say if the 2 appraisers can't agree to an umpire, they can go to a court, and a court will appoint one.
Oh.
So we had one in Mississippi where I was working with the Mosleys at Clinton Body Shop, and Progressive went so far as to go to the judge and tell the judge to appoint their umpire. And an attorney working for the consumer said, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Judge, they said, Your Honor, you pick the umpire. If we have no say so in the matter, but Progressive went and said, here's who we want you to use an umpire. And they petitioned the court to have the person they wanted as umpire appointed, which they didn't get it. And the judge ended up picking an ex-judge. And once it was all said and done, my estimate was actually a little higher than Clinton Auto Bodies. And we got 100% because I had all the procedures. It was an aluminum clean room issue, aluminum labor rates, all this clean room, this, that, and other. Oh, we don't need a clean room to do this. You don't need aluminum certification. And just because you're aluminum certified doesn't mean you get more money. Progressive through everything. And at the end, the judge says, well, Ford says and this is a Ford truck, and it's aluminum, and there's 3 aluminum certified shops, and here's the rates of the 3 aluminum shops. So what am I missing here?
Yeah.
And this judge actually had me and the other guy on the phone to ask us, our points and counterpoints.
Yeah.
And at the end, and he was an ex-judge who was acting as an umpire judge. He goes, I don't see where there's anything wrong with Billy's estimate or anything from the manufacturer. Full estimate.
Wow.
No, nothing.
Wow. Yeah. And Billy's on social media and your posts are really moving. You're on I think you're everywhere, but LinkedIn, I see you on. I'm on some body shop groups that I've seen your post on. You might even, are you on Instagram? I don't know if I've seen you on Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Billy Safety on Instagram and then LinkedIn. And I don't know how it started, but I have dyslexia. So I'm
Okay.
terrible. I don't like to read. But I love creative writing. And
Okay.
Mary Layton, my creative writing teacher, I love creative writing because I'm very audible.
Right.
I learn through, learning, and my vocabulary is probably larger because I'll learn through listening and talking. And one day I just wrote this funny post. I can't even remember which one it was, but I've done one that never went down to Georgia. And made it the theme of that. I just did one on the cold Kentucky rain about a truck in Kentucky, and then I make little funny stuff. But I make it interesting for the people. It's a serious post. I don't fluff it up, or I don't make it funny.
Right.
But I love my job. I mean, I love that people get made whole because of me.
Yeah.
They get taken advantage of so often. I mean, I'm probably only helping 5%, or maybe, with 20. So there's 22 locations in the United States, including mine.
Okay.
And I'm not in every state. I'm just now opening New Jersey. That's why I'm here training to open New Jersey. We'll be opening New York in January, and probably California in February. So in 25 and 26, will be my next two locations. But just think of all the people that they believe their insurance company is giving them a fair offer, and that's why I want body shops to take up arms. And if nothing else, and so JD Powers bought NADA, so it's not NADA anymore. Just simply go online for your customer and see if it's a fair offer. If it is, tell them to take it. They don't have to hire me,
right?
And when there's a diminished value claim, just give them a name. It doesn't have to be mine. There's a lot of people that do diminished value claims, but these people are owed money to be made whole. And these body shops can step up. When I first joined, I was the first person to write a check for the North Carolina Body Shop Association. Very first guy. And what I told them back in the day, what I would love to see, and this is not a conspiracy thing, this is just what I would do. Is if every body shop in America got a appraisal clause and they all invoked it on the same day.
That'd be amazing.
If every body shop in North Carolina did it, and we picked either a carrier or a couple carriers,
right?
Where are they going to get their independent appraisals from?
Yeah. Talk about making a splash.
See, and you gotta think outside the box to get them get to level the playing field. Because right now they tell people what they think, not what they know. And because I've been doing this for so long, you ain't gonna get over on me. I know what I know. I know policy language inside and out because I've been studying it for 13 years.
Right.
I know it better than their own appraisers and adjusters.
Right. That doesn't surprise me. So tell me a little bit about the diminished value. Does every vehicle that gets into an accident, is there a diminished value component with that?
No. You look at anything that's over 5 or 6 years old and they're getting 150,000 miles. I mean, I even told a Porsche owner today, and I said, "Sir, I'm not trying to be smug. I'm not trying to be, but you've got a 2014 Cayenne with 95,000 miles and $5,000 in damage." I said, "Sir, let's be honest. And please, again, I'm not being rude, but who do you think goes, that's a $95,000 Porsche? Wonder if it's been wrecked before. I mean, a Porsche with 95,000 miles.
Right.
Do you really think someone cares a vehicle with that many miles?
Right.
So diminished value is the perception that a vehicle that's been in an accident, it inherently loses value.
Right.
So once you get past that high mileage or low repair cost, there isn't one. I even had one, and I'll probably get, I don't know if you get hate mail, but I feel like I'm on a TV show. I'll probably get hate mail for this one.
Yeah.
But it was a 2023 Toyota, and it was a bumper cover. And they put a bumper cover on it. It had like 5 miles on it. And the Customer wanted to argue with me that it's going to have a wreck history. So what?
Yeah.
It's a 2023 car with a new bumper, and they put a new bumper on it. And it's a dirty Carfax. Carfax is the biggest joke in our industry, and it's made sheep out of consumers. Because all day long, when I told that guy, I said, well, when you go to trade that car, you take your $400 estimate where they replaced your bumper,
right.
To trade it in and go, you're going to knock $2,000 off of my vehicle because I put a new bumper on a new car.
Right.
That's all perception. So the higher the damage, the newer the vehicle, the lower the miles. That I have my 3 boxes I check.
Okay.
Year, mileage, and severity. Now, severity doesn't always equate to repair estimate costs. And people have this misnomer that there's a magic formula out there, or there's nothing. There is nothing. And somebody goes, well, what do you go by? 13 years of looking at cars, talking to dealers. And here's another thing. What diminished value is and what I can get are 2 different things. What you're actually going to lose and what I can get. Now, can an attorney get more than me? Absolutely. Attorney's going to take 33%.
Yeah.
I charge a flat fee. So, and most all appraisers like me do. Now, public adjusters who can also do this, or independent adjusters, they probably charge a percentage of the claim, but I just charge a flat fee. But diminished value is the newer the car, the lower the miles, the higher the damage or the more severity, or is the better ones to win. That's the low hanging fruit.
Okay.
Now, can I still do one on a 2018 Tahoe with 60,000 miles? Yeah, if it's got $14,000 worth of damage. See, so you don't have to check all 3 boxes. If it's got high repair cost and low mileage, you're good. So the year makes a difference, the mileage makes a difference, and the severity makes a difference.
Now, what about somebody that's leasing versus owns their vehicle? Does that come into play at all?
Most time they deny a lease. In North Carolina, almost every company has a little. So Geico asks if it's a lease. USA asks if it's a lease. Now, State Farm, I've done a couple against them, and they have paid the leasing company. And I had one guy on a Maserati get upset with me, but I got him $17,000 in diminished value.
Wow!
And they wrote the check to the leasing company. He goes, "Man, that's bullshit." And I was like, "Hey, Adam, do you know that your payments just went down by $17,000?"
Right?
Goes, "Oh wow, yeah, yeah, man." It just didn't click.
Right.
It paid his lease down by $17,000. So either if he went to purchase it or had to make his payments, the lease just went down $17,000.
Right.
But most of them deny it. And so diminished value, except for in the state of Georgia, is third party only, meaning you can only file against someone else's insurance. Except in some states like South Carolina, some policies there under a first party, your policy, if it's uninsured or underinsured, some companies in South Carolina owe you diminished value. In North Carolina, if it's an uninsured motorist, now when I say uninsured, that means you know who the other driver is. Can't be hit and run, can't be a phantom vehicle.
Okay.
And some other states as well. Those policies that I don't know, we have to look at them, each policy by policy.
Right.
And like Josh in Oklahoma, or Jay in Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania, or B down in Fort Lauderdale, they know their laws in their state and their contracts better than I do. Because for the past, 5 or 6 years, I've quit worrying about what's happening in Arizona or Pennsylvania or Florida, because I've got them there handling it. And what I do is just, I only operate myself where I don't have a location.
Gotcha. So you're traveling constantly, and then your different locations, you train them up so that you've got your people at those locations doing their own thing. Is it a franchise, or is this all you?
So my attorney, when I first started this company, said, "Billy, franchises are under the microscope of the federal government.
Oh,
call it a limited licensing agreement." So what I do is I'm kind of like the NFL, and I let people put my logo on their business.
Gotcha.
So so they pay me for training and to use my license, and then they pay a renewal fee. But yes, I spent a week with them training, and there's other benefits they get, that access to some software and programs that I have and my paperwork that I've used over the years, and the big brain on Billy. They get access to me, which I don't know if that's such a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, it's called a limited licensing. But each one is independently owned and operated.
Okay.
I train them, and then they own that location. Then each year they just pay a small renewal fee. But what I call, my dad used to tell me, you kill what you eat. It's their business. They run their business. I have nothing to do with their profit and loss. I don't monitor what they do, when they do it, how they do it. It's their business to run. The only thing they can't do is besmirch the name of Collision Safety Consultants.
There you go.
If that happens, we got a problem.
Yeah. Okay. So for people listening, for the shops listening, I know we've got their brains now like, ooh, wait a minute. I can get paid for my repairs to do it properly. Hold on. This could be total light bulb moment for a lot of shops out there that don't know that this option even exists. I mean, literally, that's like, I've talked to shops that have no clue that this is even a thing. So, or for shops that knew it existed, but didn't quite know the details of it all, that understand it more, that want to take advantage of this. Is this something you recommend that they contact? Let's say they're like, Billy's my guy. I want to talk to him. Would they call you? And then if you're not in that state, then you would refer them out to one of your partners, program people?
Yeah, we have one of my associates. So the landing page I have my own website, which is .com. And then my landing page for all my associates is collisionsafetyconsultants.us, which I should have rethunked that because I have a location in Australia and Canada now.
Oh, right.
So,
yeah.
So when Lee Emmons and I started my website, I was just US locations. And so we thought, collisionsafetyconsultants.us instead of .net or .com.
Right.
Well, now we're not in Canada, but I'm not changing that website.
Right.
But yeah, they can either go to collisionsafetyconsultants.us and see if there's a local associate, or they can call me. And I mean, I know this is crazy, and people say, well, what's the best number to call you? The number that I post, the number that you see, is my cell number. I do not have a separate phone. I answer my own phones. I answer my own calls. I answer my own emails. I write my own posts. I had an attorney once say, man, I love your stuff on LinkedIn. I need to hire the guy that does that for you. I said, well, it's me. He goes, I can't afford you.
Yeah.
And he was right, because I get $300 an hour. It's different when it's mine.
Right.
But when someone calls me, they get me. The guy I'm training here in New Jersey, and then I was in Ohio last week. And what impressed both of them, and it's really a testament to me being out here in the trenches working with these body shops over the year. Yeah. Every single phone call is, hey, Jim from Jim's Body Shop, or Mike from Collision Masters, or Victor from Hendrick, or Rick from Relentless. Every single voicemail, or this attorney. Now, I have to shoot myself in the back here a little bit, because I also work for insurance companies. You heard it here first, folks. And because my numbers don't change. And there's a lot of times that there are consumers or people out there trying to get more than what they deserve.
Right.
I am fair, equitable, and honest.
Yeah.
And so my value for a total loss for Geico is the same as it is for Mickey.
Right.
It doesn't change.
Right.
My methodology doesn't change. It doesn't change. And so there's a lot of times that they'll call on me when someone wants an astronomical amount for a total loss or an astronomical amount for a diminished value. And I have to be the voice of reason and saying, guys, I'm good, but I could never get you that much money.
Yeah.
So you're asking for way too much money. And I actually did a case for Enterprise, as a defense witness, because a customer was in a wreck and they wanted diminished value on a total loss salvage vehicle.
Wow.
Well, how are you going to get diminished value on something that just came out of a junkyard?
Right. Right.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So when I am hired, it's because someone's trying to take advantage of someone. Even insurance companies get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And diminished value claims and stuff like that. All my people are great at what they do. Each one of them have a different methodology of how they do what they do, but it's all under my guidelines of how the reports are done, how the total losses are only done one way, the diminished values are only done way. It's always under my paperwork, and what's fair is fair. And now I get a lot of customers that will call me and they'll send me a CCC or a Mitchell, and I don't post those stories because it doesn't do me any benefit to say, hey, CCC was right on this one. But I'll tell them it's a fair offer. I had an attorney one time cross-examine me. He goes, have you ever turned down a diminished value claim? I was like, probably 5 or 6 a day. And he was really taken back, because I guarantee there's a lot of companies out there, like you asked, and they're like, oh yeah, your car's lost diminished value, send me a check, and then the customer doesn't get anything.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that, because whether you're whoever it is you're working for, you're doing the right thing. You're doing what you think is right based off of the information, the data that you have. It's not opinion. This isn't how you feel. It's based off of data and facts, and that shouldn't change. So I think it says a lot about you and what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and the total losses are also under the appraisal clause, and I probably get 20 or 30 total losses a day from all over the country.
Wow.
Now, we run them for free. My assistant, Kim, I do have an assistant, Kim Mallon. I love her. If I could do it without her. Kim will run the value. We'll send that to the customer for free. And I'll look at the spread kind of like a football bookie.
Yeah.
I'm like, if there's at least $2,000 difference between us and them, I charge $500 to do that, and I guarantee my fee. So if someone hires me and I don't make them money on a total loss claim, I give their money back.
Nice.
So
nice.
I'm not going to take one I can't win, because it doesn't do me any good to have someone sell me money, and 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 days later, I'm not making enough interest on it to have them sell me money so I can turn around and send it back to them.
Right.
I'm not holding $1 billion in escrow.
Yeah.
So I deter people all the time, and it's crazy because some people want to fight with me. And I'll go, listen, my wife loves to shop, and I like money. Yeah. If I thought I could win, I'd take your money.
Right.
And then they'll go, "What? But my car's worth more." Well, then find someone that believes you.
Right.
And hire them. I'm happy for you to send me the $500. I'm not going to guarantee my fee, and then I'm going to lose. Is that what you want? So I mean, you really have to get it down to the same thing with diminished value claims. I called one of these online companies, and they told me I lost 10 grand. I'm like, you'll be lucky to get 2. So I guess the great thing about doing what I do and how I do it is I can sleep at night, because I'm always honest with everybody. I don't take on anything I can't win, because then you're wasting time and money.
Totally. Yeah, I totally appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to put all of your information, the website you just gave, all of that is in the show notes. If you're listening or if you're watching, you can go to Billy's website, check it out. You can get in touch with him. Obviously, a lot of people do. I really recommend you guys go follow him on social media, because his posts are awesome. I mean, the money that Billy is able to get for vehicles from what the insurance company was offering to then what Billy ends up getting, you guys, your minds would be blown. You think I'm joking about this.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy what these insurance companies offer. Oh my gosh. And to see the pictures, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to sprinkle a couple of pictures up there for you guys to see. And then for all of you, go and follow Billy, see what he's doing. It's really awesome to have you in the industry, Billy, helping out, because you are helping shops, you're helping the consumer, but you're helping shops be able to help the consumer. And otherwise, shops oftentimes feel like they're stuck. So many shop owners I talk to on a weekly, if not daily basis, feel stuck with this insurance battle. And it's nice that we have a tool that can be used effectively to help the consumer and help the shop. So everybody wins, right?
Yes. I just joined SCRS. I was a member of SCRS a long time ago as a member.
Yeah.
And I kind of let it go for a little while. I was growing so much and had so much going on. And I talked to Aaron Schellenberg right after SEMA. Yeah. And I said, Aaron, I said, I think I didn't want to do the platinum. I said, I think I want to be a corporate member. Yeah. And so I gave him my debit card the night before last. And one of the things he asked me is, why SCRS? Because they stand for the same thing I do. And I think body shops that aren't a member of SCRS or Danny Greenberg and find DEG.
Yeah.
If you're not following DEG and you're not doing anything with SCRS, I mean, these guys are out in the trenches fighting every day for shops through legislation and the healthcare and all that stuff. You know, it's an honor to be anywhere close to the guys that are on the SCRS board. And Danny, every time I see him, you know, they give this stuff away. You know, I wish I was at a point where I could give away my services and I didn't have a wife shop more than I do. But the reality of it is that I've got to make a really good living. I told her dad, who actually owns a body shop, I said, you know, when I married your daughter, I had money to burn. And I said, now I've got a furnace.
She's a happy woman, I'm sure.
Yes. Oh, I'm a happy man.
Yeah, I bet you are. All right, Billy. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I had a great time chit-chatting with you. Love your posts. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you. We all appreciate you. And I agree. Get involved in SCRS. I was just on their website today looking at becoming a member as well. So it's so funny you mentioned that. DEG is awesome. So everybody, let's keep up the good fight. You've got some new tools from what Billy just shared with us. Like I said, the links are below. And make sure that you're subscribing to this so you can get a notification when the next one goes live. So we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Thanks, Vicki.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have some incredible topics and guests coming your way you will not want to miss. If you are watching on YouTube and don't want to miss the latest and greatest, you'll want to hit the bell after subscribing, so you will get a pop-up each time a video podcast goes live. To our devoted fans, would you mind paying it forward and sharing this little gem with someone else you think may benefit from it? Much love from all of us here at Body Bangin', all things auto body.